What up guys, it's a Total Wars Master here doing an Empire Total War video. Today I'm doing Puckle guns and why I believe they suck. So, a little bit about Puckle guns as we watch this British Puckle gun go against some French line infantry. Puckle guns have 4 guns instead of the typical 3 that most other field artillery that's mobile have. They have a very limited range, and they also typically come late in campaign if you're using them in campaign, which poses numerous issues. Some other information about them is you can range glitch them. You can try and have them fire further than their actual firing arc shows, and they are lethal past that, which is what I'm doing right here, starting out way early to try and give the Puckle gun the most advantage it can possibly get against this line infantry, which is from France. It's fairly typical for line infantry. It's not like British, Russian, or Prussian, which are special in many regards along with other nations. It's a fairly average morale, which is what we are importantly looking at today. And we can see light casualties. The actual range of the Puckle gun starts around right here, right past this tree. So the casualties aren't nothing. Puckle guns aren't useless, but they are significantly worse than other artillery, which makes them less desirable in my opinion, and has a whole host of issues. We see this unit now reduced to less than 100 men, taking quite severe casualties. So listen now, Puckle gun war. The French unit charges in. Casualties, fairly numerous. Over a quarter of the regiment is dead. They charge in, and that's going to be it for the Puckle gun. It does get one last shot off as it's in melee, which is good for it. The French unit is wavering, but they steady themselves and they break the Puckle guns. So now I'll show you something else real fast. So now we're back, guys. I have the 24-pounder foot artillery for comparison against the French line infantry. We'll start firing with the round shot. I'm trying to get it to fire as far as it will, and once they are within range of shrapnel shot, I'll use that. And then if they get within range of canister shot, I'll use that. But to go back to the Puckle guns for a brief second, as we use this for a point of comparison, I've previously made a Puckle gun video. It may be unlisted and probably might come in the iCard if I can do that about now. But it was against Polish Guard Grenadiers. The Puckle gun was unable to rout the Guard Grenadiers. Puckle guns really don't have the range you want, and they lack the lethality to actually make a unit run, which is what you ideally want. It's much more of a support unit rather than what artillery can be, that being the dominant force. So we see that the shrapnel shot has done a bit of damage. 7 men killed from it. And then we see another good group of men just killed from it. The shrapnel shot's doing fairly good. It's already doing better than the Puckle gun, especially considering the range. Down to 93, which is a really good number to have them down to when they're not even within range of canister with no support. Again, down to 86, which is around what the line infantry were when they were in melee with the Puckle gun. Switch the foot artillery over to canister, and man, that canister just destroys that unit. So let's look at some cavalry. So guys, right here we have Puckle guns against Cuirassiers. It's a good heavy cavalry unit. It's fairly mediocre. It's not like France has a special unit or something. AI is going to run it. I'm not going to range glitch the Puckle guns this time. I'm going to let them shoot as they will fire at will. We see the Cuirassiers charging up, running up. Puckle gun opens up. About 5 killed, which isn't bad. They continue to do well. They get into melee, and unless they get that last volley off, they are definitely gone. And even getting another volley off while in melee is very dependent on luck. So even if it happened, I mean, I'd still be skeptical. But we see the Puckle guns are just routed. So let's see how heavy or regular artillery will compare against these Cuirassiers. So we're back now, guys. I have the 24-pounder field artillery against the Cuirassiers again. The nice thing about this is we have a significantly longer range, which forces that cavalry to be more mindful. I mean, we already see 9 killed there, which is fairly substantial. I'm going to hold their fire, change them to canister, and then fire it, which absolutely destroys that unit. General gets killed. I mean, the artillery was able to defend itself, which is crucial. So now let's look at an artillery duel between the two. So guys, now we have the Puckle against 24-pounder foot artillery. Artillery is really nice as a unit because it's good to support your infantry with. Like canister shot, close range will destroy any unit in this game. But we have a range advantage here, which gives us an advantage because those Puckle guns have to try and beat us. You gain that advantage over a Puckle gun with basically every artillery. 24-pounder field artillery, it's deadly enough, unlike things like rockets, to where you're effectively forced to have to engage. Otherwise, you will lose large amounts of men, especially against shrapnel shot. But cavalry is exceptionally weak to round shot, which is also a problem, as well as round shot being effective against other artillery. This forces your opponent to engage, and it makes the artillery duel a critical part of actually winning the battle. So what we're going to see is as those Puckle guns get within range, they are long outside of their range. They will have to take a long time to try and engage. And even if you tried to range glitch the Puckle guns, your fire will be so inaccurate and you'll have such a problem getting kills, and that's not really effective. So you really do have to fight to get to that range. And now we see the opening shots. They're still considerably far away, all in all. But they have a huge amount of ground to cover, and because these move so slowly, because they're not horse artillery or such, it gives a big advantage in terms of tactics and usefulness to regular foot artillery, or even horse artillery, and even howitzers as that. Due to the extreme effectiveness against infantry, cavalry, and other artillery, Puckle guns really are just a novelty. I mean, I think their use can be fun, it can be cruel, but objectively, they suck as a unit to use for your army. If you're using them and you're losing as a result, that's probably why. Something like howitzers have a good use, high casualties to enemy units. Same for regular foot artillery and horse artillery, except horse artillery can move faster. And we see large casualties killed because they have to keep walking. Kill one of these guns and you kill the entire crew along with it. And so they are still fighting to try and get within range. They really have to get on the other side of that tree to be within effective range. And even then, you're still at the very outskirts of your range. They keep walking. Kills another gunnery crew. The Puckle gun breaks, having over 50% casualties. And note, after breaking, they were still outside of the range. So, I mean, you have so much more dominant control of the battlefield, and you really have full control over what's happening. You draw your opponent into you with regular field artillery in comparison to Puckle guns, and you do massive more casualties to both cavalry and line infantry. So that's going to be it for this video, guys. Puckle guns really aren't that good. They're not good against enemy artillery, not that good against enemy infantry or cavalry. They really just are a cool thing to play with if that's what you want to do. So guys, I would love to hear your opinions in the comments below. Total Wars Master, out.